Okay, today we get into chapter 2 of Prometheus Rising. I don't know why I went away from this for so long because this book is very interesting, and I reread this chapter in preparation to go through this, and there's a whole lot of good stuff in it. So yeah, we're in for a good video. Hardware and software, the brain and its programs, chapter 2. We as species exist in a world in which exists a myriad of data points. Upon these matrices of points, we superimpose a structure, and the world makes sense to us. The pattern of the structure originates within our biological and sociological properties. Persinger and Lafreniere, I hope that's how you say it, space-time transients and unusual events. In our terminology, these data points are events or actions, i.e. verbs, not nouns. In our terminology, models or maps, static things, nouns, not verbs. In our terminology, brain, hardware, and software. So what he's saying is really what Alfred Korzybski was saying. I think that's how you say it. Korzybski. It's weird. It's similar to my last name, but I can't say it. Anyway, there's a very famous quote, "The map is not the territory." And what's that stating is that our models of the world are not perfect. There's much more beyond what we can observe and beyond what we can kind of think about, and it's our approximation of things that leads to the way in which we view the world. And you could take this as a very baseline assumption, a very baseline understanding around the world, but then you could delve into how this affects the world as a whole and affects how you deal with people, and that's perhaps the most interesting facet of this. We will, throughout this book, consider the human brain as a kind of biocomputer, an electrocolloidal, I have not seen that word in a while, computer as distinct from electronic or solid-state computers which exist outside our heads. Please note carefully long and remember that we have not said that the human brain is a computer. The Aristotelian idea that to understand something you must know what it is has been abandoned in one science after another. So the Aristotelian idea of things is that something just is what it appears to be. Think about like a static physics problem. You're given a set of variables and you have to solve for those variables, but you don't have to consider air resistance or gravity, or well, you do have to consider gravity, but magnetism, electromagnetic fields. Like there's all sorts of factors that would in some way alter your results, but you're just approximating it, you're just measuring it. That's the Aristotelian way of looking at things, where the Platonic way of looking at things is that we must account for every single variable all at once. Think of quantum physics, think of Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's cat is a very good way of understanding the Platonic idea of forms. Okay. For pragmatic reason, that is simple word is introduces so many metaphysical assumptions that we can argue forever about them. In the most advanced sciences, such as mathematical physics, nobody talks about what anything is anymore. They talk about what model or map can best be used to understand whatever we are investigating. So this is a very important idea for the rest of the book, is that whenever you say something is something, you're missing out. Whenever you put something in a box, you confine it, you restrict it, and you don't quite capture the full picture. In general, the scientific habit of avoiding can be profitably extended to all areas of thought. Thus, when you read anywhere that A is B, it will clarify matters if you translate this as A can be considered as B or modeled by B. When we say A is B, we are studying that A is only what appears within our field of study or our area of specialization. This is saying too much. When we say A can be considered as B or modeled as B, we are saying exactly as much as we have a right to say and no more. We therefore say the brain can be considered as a computer. I love how it's all this explanation for this somewhat idea, but it's very important to establish these ideas, because when we start thinking about things and when we start comparing things and we start saying this is this or this is that, then we in some way limit a very important topic such as consciousness, such as the study of consciousness, such as the study of how you view the world. And I think whenever we get into these set, restrictive, doctrinal ideas of things, then we really lose the bigger picture. This is what Nietzsche was saying when he said all morality is hypocritical, all morality is contradictory, because when you believe something is ironclad, then you neglect the idea that there's not a rule without an exception. You can always find hypocrisy in a belief system, but if you just allow yourself that grace to have some sort of hypocrisy, have some sort of contradiction, as Walt Whitman said, I am full of multitudes, of course I contradict myself. Okay, let's get to the more interesting part of this chapter. Okay. Since what the thinker thinks, the prover proves, all of our ideas are psychedelic. Even with experimenting with diet or drugs, whatever you think you should see, you will see, unless it is physically impossible in this universe. And I neglected to mention earlier, there's a lot of pictures and diagrams and stuff in this book that will help you understand these ideas. So it's useful to pick this book up for yourself and not just listen to this video alone. Okay. Your hardware is localized, brain cells right here, right now. Your software is not local. Host, events, everywhere, everyone. Before the first imprint, oh wait. No, I skipped over something important. Well, we want to know then how out of this universal software ocean a specific person emerges, what the thinker thinks the prover proves, because the human brain, like other animal brains, acts as an electrocolloidal computer, not a solid-state computer. It follows the same laws as other animal brains. That is, the program gets into the brain as electrochemical bonds in discrete quantum stages. Each set of programs consists of 4 basic parts. 1, genetic imperatives, totally hardwired programs or instincts. Think about why people are afraid of snakes, why people are afraid of spiders, why people, when they feel hungry, they go eat something. Think about your basic bodily functions, like how do you know how to do those things? It's an instinct. 2, imprints. These are more or less hardwired programs which the brain is genetically designed to accept only at certain points in its development. Think about puberty, some certain stages of maturity. When you get older, you become interested in politics like no other, and you just don't shut up about it. Like there's just stages in life that at a certain point you're accepting a new facet of life. You're accepting a new aspect to your development. Conditioning. 3, these programs are built onto imprints. They are loosely and fairly easy to change with counter conditioning. Think of the news, think of what you consume on social media, think of the books you read. This is conditioning, this is social programming. 4, learning. This is even looser and softer than conditioning. Again, it's the things that you actively try to put into your brain. In general, the primordial imprints can also overrule any subsequent conditioning or learning. An imprint is a species of software that has been built in hardware, being impressed on the tender neurons when they are peculiarly open and vulnerable. Imprints, parentheses, software frozen into hardware, are non-negotiable aspects of individuality. Out of the infinity of possible programs existing as a potential software, the imprints establish the limits, perimeters within which all subsequent conditioning and learning occurs. Okay, so what he's saying here is super interesting, because he's saying that basically we are all imprinted in different ways, and this is what forms our personality. You know, it's a combination of your, physical hardware. Think of your brain, your genetics, and that sort of stuff, as well as your environmental, such as the programs that have been put into you, whether it's societal, whether it's the country that you grew up in, whether it's the specific community you grew up in, whether it's your specific parents, or the things that you consumed as a child, or the things that you witnessed as a child. These imprints went to form who you are today. And that's very significant, because I think we oftentimes like to look at somebody who has a different idea than us as like, this person's dumb, this person's this person's this, but like truly they were just imprinted in a different way than you. And I think the more we can start looking at people in this way, the more we can start seeing differences in this way, I think the more understanding we can come to. Conditioning and learning build further networks onto this bedrock of imprinted software. Total structure of this brain circuitry make up our own map of the world. It is what our thinker thinks, and our prover mechanically fits all oncoming signals into the limitations of this map. What he's saying here is what has been imprinted onto you will then go to shape what you see. Think about it this way, like you're walking through a room, and what you observe is going to be dictated by your preferences. It's going to be dictated by the things that you normally would focus on when you walk into a room. And extend this out into the world. Like, think about the news. When the news is covered, there's a certain leaning that you will take based off your political ideology, and you will just notice certain facts, certain details will really be striking to you, and purely shaped by your imprinting, they will then go to alter the way that you see everything, the way that you observe things. And the more you can understand this idea, the more it makes sense how people have such differing viewpoints, and how people will willingly die for different viewpoints. Following Dr. Timothy Leary. Leary's a weird character, but he certainly had some interesting ideas. I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but Robert Anton Wilson had a very much affinity for this guy, and there's a whole lot of stuff on this guy. Go research him yourself. For convenience, okay. Dr. Timothy Leary, with few modifications, we shall divide this brain hardware into 8 circuits for convenience. For convenience means that this is the best map I know at present. I assume it will be replaced by a better map within 10 or 15 years. And in any case, the map is not the territory. Again, I used that quote earlier, but it's very important to understand this idea because even this model of imprinting is imperfect. Even any model which we come to grasp, it always is beyond our comprehension. It's always beyond what we can explain. Think about like political theory in general. Like these things might seem good, but political theory is only good in theory because you're not dealing with actual people. You're dealing with wooden blocks. And when it comes into application, you have people that do something in their own best interest. You have people that do certain things and take advantage of other people. And it's like, this is why no philosophy works in the real world. This is why no idea really works in actual practice, because people are people. You can't deal with human psychology because everyone's their own unique universe. They're not going to behave as you want them to. 4 of the circuits are antique and conservative. They exist in everybody except feral children. 1. The oral biosurvival circuit. This is imprinted by the mother or the first mothering object and conditioned by subsequent nourishment or threat. It's primarily concerned with sucking, feeding, cuddling, and body security. It retreats mechanically from the notorious or predatory or from anything associated by imprinting or conditioning with the noxious or predatory. Think of like the Freudian idea of the mother or the Jungian idea of the mother, the sort of anima that is in man, or vice versa. Okay. 2. The anal emotional territorial circle. This is imprinted in toddling stage when the infant rises up, walks around, and begins to struggle for power within the family structure. This is mostly mammalian circuit processing, territorial rules, emotional games or cons, pecking order, and rituals of domination or submission. Think of any war, it's this circuit. The time-binding semantic circuit. This is imprinted and conditioned by human artifacts and symbol systems. It handles and packages the environment, classifying everything according to the local reality tunnel. Invention, calculation, prediction, and transmitting signals across generations are its function. Think of the collective unconscious ideas such as the hero, such as what makes a good ruler, the ideal life, what standard you have to live up to in society, those types of ideas. 4. The moral socio-sexual circuit. This is imprinted by the first orgasm-mating experience at puberty and is conditioned by tribal taboos, processes sexual pleasure, local definitions of right and wrong, reproduction, adult parental personality, and nurturing of the youth. The development of these circuits in the brain evolved through evolution, and as each domestic primate (human) brain recaptured the evolution and growing from infancy to adulthood, makes possible the gene pool survival, manual, social biology, pecking order, or politics and transmissional culture. He says a very interesting point about this later in the book. I'm not sure if he says it. No, he doesn't say it in this chapter. But the interesting thing he says is that no matter what society you're in, there is taboos about sexuality. And even in an open society, like a very progressive, we'll say, in that kind of way of things, like there are restrictions. Like you're meant to go out there. It's weird and taboo if you are more reserved. And it's like, no matter what the society, there's some sort of restriction on what you can do with your body. It's very, very weird when you think about it that way. And that's an idea that I've never stumbled across anywhere else. That's why Robert Anton Wilson's so great, is because whenever you read him, you don't even have to go along with a lot of what he's saying. Like a lot of the stuff I'm like, maybe I see this, but it's just interesting. He just takes things in a different perspective and sort of kind of tries to break up the mapping of the territory that you already have and the preconceived notion you have of the world. 5. The holistic neurosomatic circuit. This is imprinted by ecstatic experience via biological or chemical yogas. It processes neurosomatic mind-body feedback loops, somatic sensory bliss, feeling high, faith healing, etc. Christian Science, NLP, and holistic medicine consists of tricks or gimmicks to get this circuit into action, at least temporarily. This is where it kind of gets into the unbelievable territory. I think the first 4 circuits are pretty somewhat understood, and then these are the more mystical, out there, kind of weird. But the thing about this is, a lot of people dismiss the mystical, the weird, the out there qualities of humanity, and when you do that, again, the map is not the territory. You can dismiss this stuff, but it exists, and it exists for a reason, because there's a part of us that is seeking more. There's a part of us that feels more. And whenever you dismiss these things, and whenever you don't study these things, you're really lacking. And this is why the scientific community is very much stumped right now, because they're not willing to look into the intuitive aspects of humanity, the creative aspects of humanity. It can only study and report data. It can't infer things. It can't create things. And that's really why, to me, it seems like there's a lot of scientific roadblocks. 6, the collective neurogenic circuit. This is imprinted by advanced yoga's biochemical electrical stresses. It processes DNA, RNA, brain feedback systems, and is collective in that it contains and has access to a whole evolutionary script, past and future. Experience of this circuit is numinous, mystical, mind-shattering. Here dwell the archetypes of Jung's collective unconscious, gods, goddesses, demons, hairy dwarfs, and other personifications of DNA programs, instincts that govern us. 7, the meta-programming circuit. This is imprinted by very advanced yogas. It consists in modern times of cybernetic consciousness, reprogramming and re-imprinting all other circuits, even reprogramming itself, making possible conscious choice between alternate universes or reality tunnels. A few weeks ago I went over the book Reality Transurfing. That's that sort of idea. 8, the non-local quantum circuit. This is imprinted by shock, by near-death or clinical death experience, by out-of-body experiences, by trans-time perceptions, precognition, by trans-space visions, ESP, etc. It tunes the brain into a non-local quantum communication system suggested by physicists such as Bohm, Walker, Safadi, Bell, etc. These circuits will be explained in detail as we proceed. Okay, so that was a whole lot of stuff, and now we have the fun part of this chapter, because Robert Anton Wilson always ends the chapter with a series of exercises. And this exercise is very interesting because I did this after reading it, and I was fascinated to see the results. It just goes to show that we see the world in a set way, and when we start breaking ourselves out of that way, when we start, forcing ourselves to do things differently, then we will see the world in a different manner. Then we will start thinking thoughts that we have not ever thought. And that is the preface. That's what comes before change. I forgot the word, the precipice of change. If you could start thinking in a different way, you will start acting in a different way. I don't know why I had just such a bad brain fart right there, but 1, if you don't already have a computer, run out and buy one. Then reread this chapter. I think everyone has a computer because you're probably watching it on a computer, but I don't remember when this book was written, but I think this was like early on into computers becoming popular. 2, to understand hardware and software as applied in the human brain, perform the following meditation. Sit in a room where you will not be disturbed for half an hour and begin thinking, I am sitting in this room doing this exercise because, and list as many of the causes as you can think of. For instance, you are doing this exercise because obviously you read about it in this book. Why did you buy this book? Did somebody recommend it? How did that person come into your life? If you just picked up the book in a store, why did you happen to be just in that store on that day? Do you read books of this sort or psychology, consciousness, evolution, etc.? How did you get interested in those fields? Who turned you on and how long ago? What factors in your childhood inclined you to be interested in these subjects? Why are you doing these exercises in this room and not elsewhere? Why did you buy or rent this house or apartment? And it keeps going on and on and on. Repeat this exercise a few days later, trying to ask yourself 50 questions you did not think of the first time. Note that you cannot ever ask all the possible questions. Avoid all metaphysical speculation, example, karma, reincarnation, destiny, etc. The point of this exercise will be mind-blowing enough without introducing occult theories, and will be more startling if you carefully avoid such overtly mystical speculations. And I really urge you to do this. You don't even have to go for 50 questions. Just do this for a handful of minutes. Just think about, why am I here? Why did I watch this video? Why did I stick to the end of this video and learn about these ideas? And then really break down exactly why you are at this certain set of circumstances at this certain point of your life. And it will go to show you like the decisions we make alter the way that we view the world. The decisions that we make put us exactly where we are, and almost gives us a little bit of responsibility. It's a very weird thing to start to observe. 3, pick up a household item, a spoon, a pen, a cup, etc. Perform the same exercise as above. Why is it here? Who invented it? If you can find out, how did the inventions get to this continent? Who manufactured it? Why did they manufacture that instead of bird cages? Why did they become manufacturers instead of musicians? Why did you buy it? Why did you pick that object of all objects in your house for this meditation? Answer quickly now. Are you hardware or software or both? It's obviously both, but okay, that was the end of the chapter, and that was a lot to get through. I thought it was going to be a much shorter video, but it ended up being 20 minutes. Yeah, interesting chapter. I think that modeled out really how the rest of the book is going to go. The circuits are the things that he's going to explain for the rest of the book. And, you know, the part I love about this book is it's not just a book in the sense of like you read it. It's also a book that wants you to question things, that wants you to test these things, and gives you exercises in order to test these things. And you know, some of these exercises are things that I still use to this day after reading this book about a year ago. And going through this book again has just been so much fun. I've only made it 2 chapters, and I'm already excited to get back into all these things. The only thing stopping me is it takes me so long to go through these things, and I feel like I mess up. And like, if I mess up halfway through and it's bad enough, I'm just going to have to start filming again. So yeah, with that said, hopefully we will get into the later chapters of Prometheus Rising soon, but I think we had a whole lot to think about today, and I'm going to leave you with this one idea. What the thinker thinks, the prover proves. You know, we reiterated that idea time and time again, but what does that mean? What that means is what you choose to see, you will see more of. And what are you choosing to see? You know, Robert Anton Wilson himself said he was a optimist no matter what. You know, it doesn't serve you to be a pessimist, because if you're a pessimist, you will only see the worst in the world. Regardless of what's happening, if you can see the bright side, you can make your life actively better. And the more we can think from that frame of mind, the better we will just enjoy our time while we have it. With that said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.